And then number two was, you mentioned this amenity wall on Kelly Drive that looks like a blank wall to me. And one of the things that the community was very concerned about was that this building did not turn its back on Kelly Drive. I mean, it's a building that's in the park, it needs to address the park, and whereas your apartments have rather nice views of the river and everything, it looks like to me you've got a wall there on Kelly Drive.
That's all it is.
So the,
And I'm concerned about the other side too, because it looks like you're going to have a wall on Ridge Avenue as well, because of that parking, and that was supposed to be all retail.
so from the previous iteration, the retail component has stayed the same. So we've held that 10,000 square feet of what was approved by zoning, what was approved.
The original iteration required retail all along Ridge Avenue, and you have about 1/3 of Ridge Avenue frontage as having retail, and the rest of it is a screened parking lot. Your original plan had subterranean parking.
That was a few iterations ago. Right?
Yes, but that was what we started with, and that was what was very important to reestablishing Ridge Avenue as a commercial corridor. And with retail there for any kind of tenants that were going to be moving in. Now we have a lot more residents moving in there. They're going to be demanding, they're going to be wanting services, and you've taken 2/3 out of your frontage out of the mix there.
What are we looking at here, from Kelly Drive?
So this
That's
is
from Kelly Drive.
So
It looks like
It's
a
a
wall.
wall
there's-
block.
I think that's where the parking
a
is.
lot of points that you made, so we'll try and address them one by one. So, first of all, underground parking was not feasible. And it's part of the reason why this project is before you for the third time and has been on for 6 years. So because of the grade problems, because of the water issues on the site, and for basic economics, underground parking wasn't feasible. So these changes were made from a couple of different iterations to looking at a structured parking to at-grade parking. This screen wall is done as the building sits over top of the parking, is on the podium, and the parking is underneath it. This screen wall is intended to keep people from seeing what would be the surface level parking. So the building did not wrap all the way around, and it wasn't a feasible use on this side. We've done this wall that is looking at various, it's got a couple of different perforation patterns, which are meant to add some activity to it. We're looking at the possibility of planning this as a green screen wall, so that you get some green interest and visual, kind of tying in this to the park across the street.
How high is that wall?
So the height of the wall ranges from 8 feet to 16 feet, and the height of it is dictated by trying to prevent viewing of the underside of this elevated green roof. So it was staged in a way so that rather than standing here, standing across the street, and seeing the lighting and the plumbing and the underside of the deck, that we provide a wall, and then you're looking at the green roof above. So as far as the retail, this was for 3 years ago when we presented for zoning. It's the same 10,000 square feet as what we had then. We're holding the corner. We're bringing retail down along Calumet Street, and then we've got another retail space as you can be further up Ridge Avenue. So we're still planning cafe back here at the corner of Calumet and Ridge, and we're looking at a market or a fresh food opportunity along Ridge.
And what is the screen going to look like on Ridge Avenue? Just like 2/3, it's going to look like this as well?
No, this is a different material, so we've been looking at, do you have the elevation? Show the
I
elevation.
need you to do everything you can to not make it look like there's cars behind there. There's a building in Manioc that sits where you can see the cars underneath.
Gina, I don't think you'll be over here for your.
Oh, sorry. There's a building in, going into Main Street Manioc where you can see the cars underneath. And then there's also a building on City Avenue where you can see the cars and they look like they're kind of imprisoned back there. And I don't know if you know where I'm talking about. It's right where like the St. Joe's, there's a building there that's an apartment building. The one in Manning, same thing, with the parking at the bottom. So I would urge you to do everything you can to really soften, disguise it so that it doesn't look like parking back there on that first level. And then the second piece, to reiterate what Carolyn said, I would really urge you to do something to soften that wall on the Kelly Drive side. 16 feet is a lot of walls. If you can vary it with some green or some kind of varying in dimension, I think this is Kelly Drive, this is the park, along the entire parkway, all the way starting after the art museum to this point. There are no buildings and flat walls like this at all. And this is the opportunity you can go all the way to the end of Kelly Drive without seeing a big 16-foot blank wall. And I would urge you to do everything you can to green it and to make it so that it's not just those trees, because those are deciduous trees. When in the winter comes, those leaves will be gone.
So we definitely agree with you, and this has been something we've hired a landscape architecture firm, Brown Reconsidered, who's been working actually with the East Falls Development Corporation with the neighborhood to help develop part of the streetscape plan. They've also, they've done many buildings in Center City, and they've done a lot of University of Pennsylvania's campus. They've paid a lot of attention to exactly what the planning is going to be. They're trying to vary some of the heights, and they're looking at grasses, ornamental grasses, and other plantings and trees that will provide some year-round interest so that it doesn't just die off and go flat during the wintertime. We have talked about the ability to add some sort of a vine or a green along that wall. The way that it's proposed now, and it doesn't show up all that well in the rendering, but it's something that we considered, is that each of these panels, as I said, have varying levels of perforation, so that some have big holes, some have littler holes, so that it does add some dimension to it. It kind of varies the interest, and it doesn't look flat as you go past it. It's going to be a little bit broken up. This is one example of it. I hear you about the concern about the height, and it is something that we've discussed internally, and really what was driving it was the fact that we thought that this was a better treatment than one, not having any wall at all, any screening, and being able to look into the parking, and two, the height of it kind of being dictated so that when you looked above the wall, you saw the planted green roof of the apartments as opposed to the underside of that deck. So we've carefully tried to do two things. One is to raise the height of the wall, but two is to lower that deck so that the deck is stepped in a terraced manner. It brings it down so that from the height of the first apartment level, we drop that deck by about 6 to 8 feet so that you don't have to have an additional 6 to 8 feet of wall along Kelly Drive. So it's something that is still in design and we're still working on, but these are things that